I stand frozen in my parents' elegant living room, unable to move, my phone clutched so tightly in my trembling hand that my knuckles have gone white. The text message from Ryan, Lucas's business partner, still glows on the screen. Contract canceled. Someone sent damaging information about Lucas's past. Need to talk. My father's grandfather clock ticks loudly in the silence, each sound marking another painful second of this nightmare. Tick, tick, tick. The rhythm I've known since childhood now feels like a hammer against my skull. Madison's laughter drifts in from the kitchen where she sits with our parents. The sound of it light and carefree makes my stomach twist. I've always envied how easily joy seems to come to her, how effortlessly she moves through life while I struggle for every bit of ground I gain. I glance up, trying to gather myself, when my eyes drift to Madison's open laptop on the side table. The screen glows with a draft email still visible. Anonymous tip regarding Lucas Bennett's financial misconduct. My heart stutters as I take an unsteady step closer. There are documents attached, and as I lean in, I can see they contain twisted versions of Lucas's old business dispute information only family would know. Information I shared with Madison over coffee just last month. The room suddenly feels too warm, too small. The pieces fall into place with sickening clarity. My own sister is actively sabotaging Lucas's business, my relationship, my chance at happiness. But why? The question burns through me even as the answer settles in my gut like a stone. She's always done this. My mind races back through the years. Me at 16, breathlessly showing my parents the art scholarship letter while they nodded distractedly, focused instead on Madison's perfect report card on the refrigerator. Madison receiving her $30,000 car while I got a $15 notebook that same birthday year. The memory of working 3 jobs to put myself through design school while Madison's Ivy League education was fully funded without question. The constant refrain echoes in my mind. Why can't you be more like your sister? I take a deep breath and step toward the kitchen, my voice wavering slightly as I call out, Madison, what are you doing? She turns to me with that practiced innocent expression I've seen 1,000 times before. Her blue eyes so like mine, and yet somehow always more dazzling to others widen slightly. What do you mean, sweetie? Mom and Dad look up from their coffee, their expressions immediately shifting from relaxed to guarded. The change is subtle but unmistakable. Hannah, my father says with a sigh, don't start causing problems again. Again. As if I'm always the one. As if I've ever been the one. A familiar knot forms in my stomach, the same feeling I had when no one believed me about Madison breaking my art project in 3rd grade, or when she told my prom date I was emotionally unstable hours before he was supposed to pick me up. It's the knot that forms when you're not believed, when your reality is constantly questioned, until you start questioning it yourself. I grip the door frame, steadying myself against the wave of old hurt threatening to pull me under. Lucas's words from last night float back to me. You deserve to be chosen first, Hannah. So simple, yet revolutionary to someone who's always been an afterthought. Something shifts inside me. It's subtle, a straightening of my shoulders, a slight lift of my chin. I look at my family gathered around the kitchen island, Madison at the center of their attention as always, and for the first time, I truly see them. See the dynamic that has shaped my entire life. See that nothing I do will ever change it. I step back quietly, unnoticed as I've always been. But this time, it's my choice to fade from view. I slip out of the house without confrontation, leaving them unaware of what I've discovered. In my car, I stare at the screenshot I took of Madison's email draft. My hands are steady now as I text Lucas. We need to talk. I know who sent the information. The engine hums to life, and I pull away from my parents' house. The family home grows smaller in my rearview mirror, and with each mile of distance, something new and unfamiliar unfurls inside me, the beginning of freedom. What would you do if you discovered your own flesh and blood was secretly destroying your chance at happiness? I've just found evidence of the ultimate betrayal, but my next move will change everything. And for once, I'm not looking back. I placed my phone face down on Lucas's sleek glass desk, the screenshots of Madison's emails still burning in my mind. His office is a study in minimalism, bare white walls, a single potted succulent, nothing to distract from the work at hand, nothing to soften the blow I'm about to deliver. That's it. That's everything I found, I say, my voice steadier than I expected. Lucas nods slowly, his face a careful mask of calm. Only his hands betray him, knuckles whitening as he grips the edge of his desk. I've never seen him like this, so still yet so clearly containing a storm. A $500,000 contract, he finally says, each word precise and measured. Gone because of rumors about a business dispute that was settled years ago. My own sister did this to Udas. The guilt rises like bile in my throat. I brought this into life. Lucas's eyes find mine, and the intensity in them makes me catch my breath. No, Hannah, you didn't do this. Madison did. Her name hangs between us, and suddenly the floodgates open. It's not just this, I say, the words tumbling out after years of silence. It's everything. It's always been everything with her. I sink into the chair across from him, memories surfacing like bruises under pressure. When I was in college, my friends suddenly started treating me differently. I found out later Madison had told them I was always jealous and competitive with her. I stare at my hands. The night before my interview with Barton Design, she accidentally spilled red wine all over my portfolio. I had to stay up all night recreating it. Lucas watches me, his silence encouraging. Every time something good happens, she's there with her backhanded compliments. When I landed the Morrison project, she told everyone, "It's amazing you got that job, they must really need someone inexpensive." The familiar hurt flares, but it's different, no, illuminated by understanding rather than confusion. My phone buzzes against the desk. I flip it over to see my mother's name on the screen. Something in me already knows what this call will bring. I put it on speaker. "Hannah, Madison says you're upset with her. What did you do now?" My mother's voice fills the room, familiar in its automatic defense of my sister. I end the call without answering, only to have my phone immediately buzz with a voicemail notification. My father this time. "Your sister is just concerned about you rushing into things with Lucas. Call her and apologize for whatever this is about." I place the phone down gently, a strange calm washing over me. They've never been on my side, I say, the realization settling into my bones with the weight of absolute truth. Not once. Lucas stands, circles the desk, and takes my hand in his. With his other hand, he picks up his own phone and dials. "Alan? It's Lucas. I need you to draft a cease and desist letter immediately." His fingers tighten around mine. Yes, it's urgent. As he speaks with his lawyer, outlining Madison's actions with clinical precision, I feel something I've rarely experienced in my life, someone fighting for me. When he hangs up, I'm blinking back tears. "No one's ever done that before," I whisper. "No one's ever fought for me." "We're not going to let her destroy what we've built," he says simply. "Not our business, not our relationship, not our future." There's steel in his voice, and I draw strength from it even as my phone continues to light up with notifications. I open one, a screenshot from a mutual friend showing Madison's latest social media post. It's scary when someone isn't who they claim to be. Just looking out for those I care about. "It's getting worse," I say, scrolling through comments from family, friends, people I've known my whole life, suddenly questioning Lucas's character. 3 clients canceled their contracts this morning, Lucas says quietly. Investors are getting nervous. My design clients are starting to message too. They've been hearing concerns. The tendrils of Madison's sabotage are reaching everywhere. That night, I stare at the cease and desist letter draft on Lucas's laptop. The formal legal language transforms my sister into the offending party. Tomorrow this will be sent to Madison Wilson, me own flesh and blood. My finger hovers over the trackpad, unable to close the document. Ryan says we might be able to salvage the Westlake contract. Lucas says from the doorway, his tie loosened after a long day of damage control. Not everything is lost. I turn to face him, my throat tight. Is this really what it's come to? Legal action against my own sister? Lucas sits beside me, his expression softening. You don't have to do this if you're not ready. That's just it, I say, my voice barely above a whisper. I think I am ready, and that terrifies me. The realization settles between us what kind of person takes legal action against their own family. Am I becoming someone I don't recognize? But then I remember Madison's calculated betrayal, her years of undermining me, and my resolve hardens. Send it, I say, closing the laptop with a quiet click. Lucas nods, understanding the weight of this decision. I'll tell Alan first thing tomorrow. When he falls asleep beside me, his breathing deep and even, I lie awake, watching shadows move across the ceiling. This small victory salvaging a contract, standing up for ourselves comes at the cost of severing what remains of my family bonds. I've spent 3 decades trying to earn my place in a family that never made room for me. Now I'm choosing to step away from that struggle entirely. Sleep evades me, my mind torn between family loyalty and self-respect. Every time I close my eyes, I see Madison's face, hear my mother's voice automatically blaming me, feel my father's dismissal. Then I imagine Lucas losing everything he's built because of my sister's jealousy. By dawn, my pillow is damp with tears I didn't realize I was shedding, but my resolve remains unshaken. The next morning, I find myself pulling a box from the back of my closet. Inside are old journals, forgotten emails printed years ago, a record I kept without fully understanding why. I flip through pages documenting Madison's coincidental sabotage. An old email from Madison to her college roommate catches my eye. I can't stand that she might actually be happy. She doesn't deserve it after getting that scholarship I wanted. I place everything in a folder and write a single word on the tab. Truth. As I close the folder, a quiet determination settles over me like armor. I won't be erased anymore. I whisper to the empty room, my voice gaining strength with each word. Not by her. Not by anyone. Have you ever discovered someone close to you was secretly working against your happiness? What signs did you miss along the way? Hannah just uncovered years of sabotage from her own sister. Would you confront the betrayal or cut ties completely? I just want to protect you, Hannah. Madison's voice carries the perfect note of concern as she passes the mashed potatoes to Dad. The dining room feels stifling despite the high ceilings and open windows. The grandfather clock that witnessed my discovery of Madison's betrayal last week continues its steady rhythm in the background, a metronome counting moments of my diminishing patience. Madison has always looked out for you, Mom adds, nodding with such certainty that for a half second I almost believe her. Almost. Dad clears his throat. Lucas's business history is concerning. He doesn't meet my eyes, just cuts his roast beef into unnecessarily precise squares. I take a slow sip of water, steadying myself. 3 days ago, Madison texted Julia, my college roommate. I'm worried about Hannah rushing into things with Lucas. There are some red flags I can't ignore. Yesterday, it was my cousin Elaine. Today, Aunt Patricia called, her voice strained with manufactured worry about the man I love. The systematic dismantling of my happiness continues with surgical precision, and they all sit here, conspirators in matching sweaters, passing potatoes. My design studio feels like sanctuary after the suffocating family dinner. Afternoon light streams through the industrial windows, catching dust motes that dance around my drafting table. My fingers trail over the frames on the wall, the Architectural Digest feature on my restaurant renovation, the Peterson Award for Innovative Residential Design, the thank you letter from the Children's Hospital where I redesigned their cancer ward. I remember Professor Winters standing in this very spot 5 years ago, before the accolades, when this was just an empty rental with concrete floors and hope. You have rare talent, Hannah, she'd said, her voice firm as she steadied my portfolio. Don't let anyone dim your light. My phone buzzes. It's Lucas. They've responded to the cease and desist, he says without preamble. His voice carries the controlled calm that I've come to recognize as anger. Madison claims complete innocence, says she's shocked and hurt by the accusation. I sit heavily in my desk chair, staring at the sketch of the mountain retreat I've been designing for us. 3 bedrooms, a studio overlooking the lake. Far from Madison. Far from all of them. She's never going to stop, I say, the realization settling in my chest like stone, unless I make her. Madison's apartment building gleams with the self-importance of new Montreal glass and polished concrete. The doorman recognizes me, nodding as I walk past. Miss Wilson, to see Miss Wilson, I say, my voice steadier than my heartbeat. The elevator rises 22 floors. I watch the numbers climb, each one bringing me closer to a confrontation 3 decades in the making. Madison opens her door with the confident swing of someone who expects only pleasant surprises. Her smile freezes when she sees my expression. Hannah, is everything okay? The concern in her voice sounds genuine, which makes everything worse. She's believed her own lies for so long. I step inside without waiting for an invitation. Her apartment is immaculate trim furniture, abstract art, views of the city that cost more than my first year of college tuition. I place my folder on her glass coffee table. What's this? She asks, the first note of unease creeping into her voice. Evidence. I open the folder, removing screenshots of her email to Lucas's clients. The draft I found on her laptop. Phone records showing her calls to his former business partner. I know what you did. I know what you've always done. Her face changes, the mask slipping like a curtain falling. The transformation is so complete, it's almost beautiful. You don't deserve what you have, she says, her voice quiet but sharp as a blade. You never did. I stand taller, something unfamiliar and powerful unfurling in my chest. That's not for you to decide, I say. Not anymore. The following week passes in a blur of strategic movement. Lucas arranges emergency meetings with clients, calmly presenting evidence of Madison's interference. My phone rings with unexpected support, Julia insisting on lunch, Professor Winters offering me partnership in her expanding firm, clients reaffirming their faith in my work. Madison tried to turn me against you in college, you know. Julia tells me over salads at our favorite cafe. She called me sophomore year, said you were talking about me behind my back. I stare at her, memories rearranging themselves into a clearer picture. Why didn't you tell me? Julia shrugs. I knew it wasn't true. I figured it was just sister stuff. She reaches across the table, squeezing my hand. I never realized how systematic it was until you showed me those emails. Later that evening, surrounded by Lucas and 6 of our closest friends in his apartment, I find myself blinking back tears as he kneels before me. I never thought I deserved this. I whisper as he slides the ring onto my finger, not flashy but elegant. Perfect. We're having a private ceremony, Lucas announces to our gathering, his arm secure around my waist. Only those who support our happiness. I meet each gaze in the room, feeling the weight of their genuine joy. Only family, I add with a smile that holds new boundaries like armor. My childhood bedroom remains frozen in time cream walls, faded floral bedspread, bookshelves lined with art history volumes and design magazines. I remove my watercolors from the wall one by one, each revealing a slightly darker rectangle of paint beneath. My fingers trace the doorframe, where pencil marks tracked our growth, Madison always taller, always ahead. The physical manifestation of how I've always lived in her shadow. I catch my reflection in the mirror, the same mirror where I practiced smiles after Madison told me my real one showed too much gum. I see myself clearly now, perhaps for the first time. The house key feels heavy in my palm. I place it on the dresser with deliberate care, the small sound it makes against the wood oddly final. I'm not coming back here. You're invited. I tell my parents on the phone, but Madison is not welcome. The silence stretches so long I check to see if the call disconnected. You can't exclude your sister. Dad's voice explodes finally. Family comes first. The familiar guilt rises, then recedes like a tide I'm learning to predict. Yes. I agree, my voice quiet. Family should come first. Remember the next time you choose sides. I'm arranging seating cards at our kitchen table when Lucas strides in, his face tight with controlled anger. He places his phone in front of me. The screen displays an email from Ryan, his former business partner. Lucas Madison Wilson contacted me yesterday. Asked about investment opportunities, but spent most of the call fishing for information about you. Mentioned she'll be attending a special event soon. Thought you should know. My stomach drops. She's planning something for the wedding day. Lucas sits beside me, taking my hands in his. His thumbs trace calming circles on my palms. We've prepared for this, Hannah. The venue has security. The guest list is locked. Let her try. I look at our carefully arranged seating cards, each one representing someone who genuinely supports us. For the first time in my life, I've created something Madison can't infiltrate or destroy. A smile forms on my lips, not the cautious one I've worn for years, but something new, determined, even dangerous. For once, I say, squeezing Lucas's hands, I'm 2 steps ahead of her. I stand before the full-length mirror in the bridal boutique's private room, barely recognizing the woman staring back at me. The wedding dress me-own design brought to life by skilled hands falls in elegant, clean lines against my body. Nothing extravagant or showy, just simple sophistication that feels authentically me. It's perfect, I whisper, running my fingers over the handcrafted beadwork at the waist, hundreds of tiny stitches I painstakingly sketched in my design notebook. My wedding planner, Diane, steps back with approving eyes. The venue overlooking the lake is secured. Small, intimate, just 30 guests, as requested. She pauses, lowering her voice. And security has been briefed with your sister's photo. The words hang in the air between us. 2 months ago, I would have felt a stabbing guilt at the thought of posting security to keep my own sister away. Now, I feel only a steady resolve. Today is about love, not drama. I say, more to myself than to Diane. My phone buzzes on the nearby table. Madison's name flashes across the screen for the 3rd time today. I silence it without answering, but not before noticing the voicemail notification. Later, alone in my car, I press play, steeling myself. Hannah. Madison's voice breaks with practiced emotion. You can't do this to me. I'm your sister. After everything we've been through together. The familiar manipulation continues, each word designed to crack my newfound strength. I delete it before she finishes. The text messages come next. A barrage of guilt wrapped in concern. Mom is crying every night because of you. Dad can hardly eat. Is this really what you want, Hannah? To tear our family apart? I set my phone down on the passenger seat, my hands steady. 6 months ago, these words would have sent me spiraling. Now they simply confirm I'm making the right choice. When Lucas calls that evening, I can hear the tension in his voice before he speaks. Madison showed up at my office today, he says. The grandfather clock in our hallway ticks loudly in the silence that follows. That familiar sound that once measured my suffering, now merely counts the seconds until Lucas continues. What did she say? I ask, though that you've always been unstable when things go well, that I should be careful about marrying someone with your history of emotional problems. He pauses. She said she was just concerned about me. A hollow laugh escapes me. Madison. I had security escort her out, Lucas says, his voice warming. And I told her if she ever spoke about you like that again, we'd add slander to the cease and desist. That night, our wedding planner calls, her voice tense. Someone tried to cancel your cake order and flower arrangements. Claimed to be you. I close my eyes, unsurprised. Don't worry, she adds quickly. I've alerted all vendors. Nothing changes without in-person verification now. The next morning brings a call I've been expecting. My mother's voice comes through sharp and brittle. You're tearing this family apart, Hannah. Is that what you want? I watch the leaves on the maple tree outside my window dance in the autumn breeze, their edges beginning to turn golden red. I'm not tearing anything apart, Mom. I'm simply refusing to maintain a relationship that's harmful to me. If Madison isn't welcome at your wedding, Your father and I won't come either. The ultimatum hangs between us. In the past, this would have been enough to make me crumble, to accept whatever terms kept the fragile peace. Instead, I feel an unexpected lightness. That's your choice to make. I've made mine. The shocked silence on the other end speaks volumes. She hadn't expected this response. As the wedding day approaches, support arrives from unexpected places. Lucas hires additional security without my asking. Design clients send cards with warm wishes. Lucas's business partners issue a joint statement reaffirming his integrity after anonymous concerns circulated in their industry. The morning of our wedding dawns clear and cool. I stand at the window of the bridal suite, overlooking the lake, watching early mist rise from the water's surface, when my planner appears at the door. Your parents are here, she says carefully. Just your parents. Something tightens in my chest, surprise, relief, a complex emotion I can't quite name. They chose to come after all, without Madison. When I walked down the aisle later that afternoon, I glimpsed them in the back row. Their faces are subdued, almost awkward, as if they're not quite sure how to behave in this new reality, where their youngest daughter has set terms they must accept rather than dictate. Lucas waits for me beneath an arch of autumn flowers, his eyes never leaving mine. As I join him, he takes my hands in his, squeezing them gently. Around us, my colleagues from the design world beam with genuine pleasure. Lucas's business partners nod respectfully at my father, who seems smaller somehow, less imposing than the man whose disapproval once shaped my every decision. My phone sits silent in my purse, Madison's increasingly desperate voicemails unheard. A mutual friend mentioned she seemed unraveled lately, her carefully constructed image of the perfect daughter beginning to show cracks. Her latest social media post plays the victim. Family abandonment hurts more than anyone can understand. But her words don't have power over me anymore. I choose you first, always, Lucas vows, his voice steady and sure as we exchange promises. Tears blur my vision, but unlike so many tears I've shed before, these hold nothing but joy, pure and untainted by family drama for the first time in my life. At the reception, my father approaches our table, his hands trembling slightly as he grasps the back of an empty chair. Madison told us things, he begins, his voice unusually hesitant. Things I'm starting to question. I meet his gaze evenly. I know exactly what she told you. From my clutch, I remove a small flash drive and place it in his hand. Here's the truth. It's your choice whether to see it. He stares at the small device, as if it might burn him, then closes his fingers around it with a nod. As he walks away, Lucas leans close. Are you okay? I watch my father rejoin my mother, showing her the flash drive with a solemn expression. Whatever happens next is their choice and not my burden to carry. Yes, I answer, surprising myself with how true it feels. For the first time in a very long time, I really am. The doorbell rings, its chime echoing through our new home, like an unwelcome reminder of the past. Through the frosted glass, I recognize Madison's silhouette, shoulders slightly hunched, head tilted in that practiced pose of vulnerability she's perfected over decades. Lucas squeezes my hand. You don't have to do this. I know. I smooth my cotton blouse, squared shoulders, replacing my former instinct to shrink. But I do. When I open the door, Madison's eyes are already glistening with tears. 2 weeks of marital bliss have transformed me. But she looks diminished, somehow, designer clothes slightly rumpled. The confidence in her stance noticeably absent. Hannah. Her voice breaks perfectly on the second syllable. I had to see you. I step aside without embracing her. The Madison who appears in my living room is a masterclass. In control, devastation, tearful, but not messy. Vulnerable, but dignified. She perches on the edge of our sofa like a wounded bird. I was jealous. She looks up, a single tear tracking down her cheek. I've always been jealous of you. The familiar pull of responsibility tugs at my chest. She's still my sister, the little girl who once held my hand crossing the street to school. I've been fired from Harrington Financial. Her voice drops to a whisper. Someone's sentence of inappropriate communications. Her eyes flick to mine, gauging my reaction. I don't know what I'm going to do. I remain standing, hands relaxed at my sides. That sounds difficult. Madison shifts tactics, her fingers tracing the edge of our coffee table. Mom and Dad are thinking of selling the house. They're so upset about everything. The unspoken accusation hangs in the air. Your fault. When I don't respond, she adds, Did you know I ran into Ryan last week? Lucas's old business partner had some interesting things to say. The grandfather clock in our hallway ticks steadily. My pulse doesn't quicken at her veiled threat. Not anymore. We used to be so close as children, Madison murmurs, producing a tissue from her purse. Remember how you'd read to me during thumbs? I walk to the kitchen, feeling her eyes track my movements. Would you like some tea? I call over my shoulder, my voice steady. Madison's confusion is evident when I return with 2 elegant porcelain cuffs wedding gifts from Lucas's aunt. She studies my face, searching for cracks in my composure. Let me get something for you, I say, setting down her cup. Madison straightens, expression brightening as I retrieve a document folder from my desk. Her fingers reach for it eagerly, anticipation replacing the manufactured sorrow in her eyes. But instead of the checkbook she clearly expects, I slide a single photograph across the table. Madison stares at it, momentarily puzzled. It shows us as children, me at 11, arm around 7-year-old Madison after she'd fallen from her bike. Her knee bleeding, my expression concerned as I comfort her. I was never your enemy, I say quietly. You created that all on. The calculated mask slips from Madison's face. She pushes the photo away. What is this supposed to be? Some sentimental nonsense? It's a reminder, for both of us. Her eyes narrow. If you think one old photo changes anything. I don't. I take a deliberate sip of tea. But this might. I sent the evidence of your communications to Harrington Financial myself. That's why you were terminated. The color drains from Madison's face. You wouldn't dare. I also upgraded our cease and desist to potential legal action. My voice remains even, almost gentle. I didn't have to destroy you, Madison. You did that yourself. She stands abruptly, teacup clattering against saucer. Mom and Dad will never believe this. They know what you're like, always jealous, always competing. My phone rings. I check the screen and answer, putting it on speaker without breaking eye contact with Madison. Hannah? My father's voice sounds different, smaller somehow. We watched the videos, read the emails. We had no idea. My mother's voice filters through, clearly crying. All those years, why didn't you tell us? I tried. The simple truth hangs between us. Now you do. What matters is to do next. I end the call. Madison's manufactured composure crumbles completely, replaced by raw fury. Her eyes, so like mine in color but nothing else, flash dangerously. You've ruined everything, she hisses, no longer bothering with tears. No. I meet her gaze steadily. I just stopped letting you ruin me. Madison snatches her designer purse, storms toward the door, and slams it with enough force to rattle the windows. The sound echoes through our home and fades to silence. Lucas emerges from his office, having given me space while remaining close enough to intervene if needed. His arms encircle me from behind, and I lean back against his chest, exhaling slowly. It's really over, I whisper, my voice steady despite emotion tightening my throat. Later that evening, I carefully placed my childhood photo albums into storage boxes. Lucas watches from the doorway as I keep just one picture, not of Madison, but of my younger self at art camp, paintbrush in hand, eyes bright with possibility. A reminder, I explain, of who I was and who I chose to become. Lucas kisses my temple. What do you think about the lake house? The one we looked at last month. It's a good distance from everything. I consider this, tracing the frame of the photograph. Distance isn't running away, I say finally. It's creating space for peace. 6 months later, an envelope arrives, bearing my parents' return address. I hold it, feeling its weight in my hands. Lucas watches silently as I hesitate, then carefully tear it open. Inside, a handwritten note from my father. "We've asked Madison to get help. We should have done this years ago." I place the note on our kitchen counter, my emotions too complex to name. Morning sunlight spills across the polished hardwood floors of our Tahoe lake house, casting long golden rectangles that warm my bare feet. I stand in my design studio, fingers tracing the edge of my drafting table as I gaze out at the water sapphire blue, and utterly still, this early hour. The contrast between this serene space and the chaos of my childhood home sometimes stops me in my tracks. "They confirmed Tokyo," Lucas says, appearing in the doorway, coffee mug in hand. His smile carries the quiet confidence I've come to rely on. "That's 4 international offices now: London, Sydney, Berlin, and Tokyo." I nod, thinking of how far we've both come. My latest hotel design portfolio sits open on my desk, the renderings for the project that just won the Henderson Award. From anyone else, "I'm so proud of you," would sound like platitude. But when Lucas says it, the words carry weight. I still hear Madison's voice sometimes. "Who would hire you for a luxury project?" But it's growing fainter. The standing ovation at the awards ceremony last month nearly drowned it out completely. The restaurant I've chosen to meet my parents sits precisely halfway between their home and Minna-neutral territory. I spot them through the window, my father's silver hair catching the light, my mother fidgeting with her napkin. They look smaller somehow, uncertain. This meeting was their request, not mine. "We let you down," my father says after the awkward greetings and small talk about the unseasonably warm weather. His hands, once so imposing to me, tremble slightly around his water glass. "We ignored what Madison was doing for too long." My mother's eyes glisten. "We didn't do right by you, Hannah, and I regret it." The admission hangs between us. A year ago, I would have rushed to smooth things over, to forgive immediately and make it easier for everyone. The old Hannah, desperate for crumbs of parental approval. Instead, I take a slow sip of water, considering my words. "I appreciate that," I say finally, my voice steady. "Trust will take time." They nod, exchanging glances. "We can build a new relationship," I continue. "But it will be different." The relief that washes over their faces surprises me. They weren't expecting immediate forgiveness, but seem grateful for the chance. Later that week, I sit cross-legged on the floor of Dr. Myers's office, paintbrush in hand. The canvas before me blooms with colors I wouldn't have dared use before: bold reds and deep purples. My therapy sessions have become a sanctuary, Lucas giving me the space to do this work alone, while remaining steadfastly supportive. Forgiveness isn't for them. I write in my journal that evening. It's for me. Our lake house fills with laughter during the small gathering. We host genuine friends whose connections don't come with conditions. To Hannah, Ryan toasts, Lucas's business partner, raising his glass, without whom none of our success would have been possible. My old design mentor catches my eye across the room. "You found your voice," she says quietly. The young woman at my first workshop clutches her portfolio, eyes bright with unshed tears. "Your story helped me set boundaries with my own family," she tells me, and I feel something shift and settle inside me. "Our stories can become stepping stones for others," I reply, my smile genuine. Madison's letter sits unopened on my desk for days. When I finally read it on the deck overlooking the lake, the admission of jealousy doesn't surprise me. No explanation could justify the pain she caused, but the acknowledgement matters in ways I hadn't expected. My response is measured. Firm boundaries. No blind forgiveness. If we rebuild anything, it will be on my terms. I seal the envelope, but place it in my desk drawer instead of the mailbox. I'm giving myself time to be certain. The sunset turns the lake to fire as Lucas joins me on our dock. "Are you okay?" he asks, the question simple but laden with understanding. I look out at the horizon, feeling the gentle weight of his hand in mine. For the first time in my life, I say, "I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be."